Good people, what is going on? Another episode of the All Gold Podcast. I'm your host, Desmond. So first, fun fact, you may not care, but very excited. In my golf league yesterday, I shot a 46, which is by far the best round I've ever played in my life. I've been golfing for, I don't know, maybe 5 years, something like that. So really excited. So yeah, is what it is. But want to talk about a couple things. Cleveland Browns, just quarterback situation. There's been a lot of talk, obviously, with Shedeur and Dylan Gabriel, Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco on, I've seen more OTA stats than I care to really care to see. But it's, good information, I guess. But, there's been a lot of talk is Shedeur going to start? Who's going to start? So on and so forth. The Cleveland Browns are a dysfunctional organization. And when you're a dysfunctional organization, there is no succeeding in a dysfunctional organization. It just doesn't happen. And I think the Cleveland Browns are that. And so I heard a report or rumor or something that if the Browns had a football game tomorrow, that Kenny Pickett would be the starting quarterback for the team. Kenny Pickett, who was drafted by his hometown team Steelers, right? He played for Pittsburgh, played for Pitt, then went to the Steelers. He didn't even make it to his third season with the team and before they traded him. Then the team he was traded to, he's not on that team any longer. And you're telling me this is the guy, because he got traded to the Eagles. So he's on the Eagles, not this past season, this past season. Then he signed with the Browns, if I'm not mistaken. That's the guy that is QB1 right now. It's a mess. It's just laughable because you just don't know, like, what are we doing? What are we doing? And now because you've drafted a third-round quarterback and a fifth-round quarterback, you're like, this is why you don't do that typically, is because you're going to have to keep both of those guys. And then now you have two veterans with Flacco and Pickett that are on salaries. Like, do you plan, let's say, because what I think should happen is if Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur do not show that they're potentially ready to start day one, I would go with Joe Flacco, and then I would get rid of Kenny Pickett one way or another, and then have the other, the rookies being the backup. But ideally, one of the young guys would be ready to play, because eventually you've got to get to the point where you build for the future with a young quarterback, a young quarterback. You can't piecemeal this thing. The Deshaun Watson decision contract was a disaster. He's still actually on the books. But you got to figure something out. And no matter which route you go, Kenny Pickett is not going to be there for the long run. I mean, if Kenny Pickett started the season, I don't think he would make it to week 6 as a quarterback. Like, you would have to pull him. He's that bad of a quarterback. So this dysfunctional chaos and mess that the Browns are doing, I just don't understand it. So if I were the coach, if Gabriel or Shedeur were even close to being ready, I would just throw them out there. You're not winning anything. The Browns are winning nothing except we've got Myles Garrett sweepstakes. So that would be my thought. But here's the difficult part. So let's say Joe Flacco is the starter in my example. And let's say Dylan Gabriel's the number 2 and Shedeur is like and that's the thing too. You can't put him on the practice squad because then somebody can claim him as long as they put him on the active roster. So you basically be essentially cutting a draft pick. But nonetheless, let's say Flacco's the starter and let's say Shedeur's the backup quarterback. The amount of, and I don't think it's his fault, but the amount of attention and questions that would be happening around Shedeur, especially if Joe Flacco struggles a bit and doesn't look great, doesn't look like he did with with Cleveland from the couple years ago, it's just gonna be a distraction. It's like, it's just chaos. And that's how the Cleveland Browns operate, and that's why they are the Cleveland Browns. It's pretty bad. Also, I just heard Nick Chubb is a free agent running back. No one has signed Nick Chubb. I get it. He was coming off an injury, but it's still Nick Chubb. I mean, what are we doing here? What are we doing? So I thought that was very interesting and telling. But yeah. So other thing I wanted to talk about was the Detroit Lions. So they're obviously Frank Ragnow has retired. First round draft pick out of Arkansas, was a terrific center for the Lions. And there's been some talk of what are the expectations for the Lions, so on and so forth. To me, my expectations don't change. I understand it. Ragnow was a terrific player. He was banged up a bit. Really the past 2-3 years, he's been hurt, banged up a bit. But nonetheless, I expect to win the division. I expect for us to compete for the 1 seed. And I expect us to be bare minimum in the NFC Championship and really, competing to be in the Super Bowl. That it doesn't change when you've made that transition from being a bottom feeder, which my beloved Detroit Lions were, to now we have a standard. We have a culture. We've got the head coach, right? We've got a young core. We've got some veterans. It's the next man up mentality. It's similar to what we had at the end of last season where, injuries decimated our defense. And, we're going into that Vikings game. And, of course, everybody, not in Detroit is like, I think it's going to be the Vikings. Detroit too hurt, blah, blah, blah. And freaking Amir Robinson just goes out and locks down Justin Jefferson. That was pretty crazy, right? And Sam Darnold just has a meltdown. But it's next man up. This is the reward for being a really good team, is expectation and standards stay high. So it's interesting. It's very interesting. I think the Detroit Lions win total is 10.5, I believe. I think they win. I think they hit the over on that. I think, but just the over. I think we're looking at about 11. About 11 wins. Look, the Lions have a tough schedule, and I think there is a world that exists that Lions win less games on the schedule, right? So they have less wins but are a better team. So I think, number one, if we go into the playoffs healthy versus last year where we were just trying to hold on for dear life, that's one big part of it. But also, too, we play a difficult schedule, a really difficult schedule. And that's okay. That's a good thing. I think what that does is that helps sharpen the iron. So when you do get to the playoffs, right, you're used to playing against high-level quality teams. Playing the Tennessee Titans, and I know that was early in the season last year, but playing the Tennessee Titans is not going to make you better. It's not going to get you ready for the playoffs. You know what I mean? So I think it's important that they do have, they have a good schedule. So let's go take care of business. I'm not changing my expectations. Win the division. It might be a better division. That's fine. Go win it. You're a really good team. You are. When people start talking about the teams in the NFC, who's gonna win it, one of the couple teams that they mentioned is the Detroit Lions, and that's for good reason. You've built that. So continue building it. Let's go win the division. Let's get to the NFC Championship. Let's get to the Super Bowl. Let's win the dang thing. That's what I'm talking about. That's it for me. Appreciate it. Peace.